Hello.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, I have to rename myself.
Oh, yeah, you're Sage. Hi, Sage.
I was Sage for a moment. Channeling. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Jill, Tiffany, Ellen, Cindy, Sarah, Kim, Marcella, Audrey, Leah, Audrey, yeah, I said Audrey. Everybody that's joining in. Kira, so happy to have you all jumping on. We've got a really special call for you today because it is a Q&A call, but we also have a special guest. So I'll be speaking about that in a moment. A couple special guests, actually. And Sage is at the Mindshare Conference in San Diego, and then also tonight leading meetups in San Diego. So any of you that are local San Diego area people or have folks that you know there, just know that that's happening as far as being able to go to one of the meetups. So we're preparing for the September event, and I'm here with you today to do the Q&A and also to host our special guests with you. So we're gonna have time at the beginning of the call for all of your questions that are just general questions. And then later on the call, we're going to be focusing on some amazing Instagram training. So we have Travis joining us today, who is, I'll tell you a little bit more about him once he actually is here. I'll give his full introduction, but he is someone that we bring on as an Instagram advisor for Sage and Women Rocking Business. So he knows a lot about this, and he'll be coming on about halfway through our call today, so around 11 o'clock to do training with you. We're planning on staying till noon, and then we'll have Q&A time as well. At that time, that's going to be Instagram specific. So for those of you who feel like you've got questions in that realm, that's the best time to ask them. And we're also going to be bringing on Selena Gray for a little part of that, who is one of our amazing Lotus clients who has built an Instagram following over 10,000 and has been gathering clients off of Instagram over the last year, even while she was going through some major life challenges, and found that to be a really easy way to stay engaged. So we wanted to share some of her wins with you and some of her tips for what she could add in that you could be trying on for yourself. So they'll be coming on about halfway through. And at the beginning of the call, it's going to be open for your Q&A time. So I just wanted to really start off with celebrating you, all of you, for your willingness to continue to step into more visibility. And we know that it feels edgy, and especially when we're talking about these trainings like Instagram and Facebook and all these ways that you can be stepping out in front of people, that so much can come up for you in the vulnerability of that experience. I know it has for me, for sure. And really wanting to acknowledge you for being willing to step outside of your own comfort zone to be able to serve others. To know that when you show up and you share that post, or you give a talk, or you hop on a Facebook Live, you're really showing up saying, my message and my mission is so much bigger than any momentary fear that I have, any feelings of like, I'm not doing it right or good enough, that none of that matters when you just put yourself out there and say, I'm willing to change the lives of one person at a time. It's not about having 600 likes on a post. It's about that one message that we get saying, oh, this really changed my life. And so I wanted to just speak to that I know I posted something on Instagram a few weeks ago, and it was about upcoming retreat that I'm going to be hosting in the beginning of 2020. And I got a comment from someone who's been listening to our podcast and saying, oh, we're interested in the retreat. And so we're having a discovery session from that. We've been in conversation on Instagram, like direct messaging. But what really touched me about her comment was that, I started a new Instagram profile, Two Lesbians in Love, with my partner just a few months ago. And it was super edgy for me to step out in that way and shift from my business conversation profile to this whole new niche. And it's really personal. And she shared that they live in Prince Edward Island in Canada and feel really isolated, and there's no community, and they've been listening to our podcast and watching our Instagram and really feeling inspired and feeling like they now are having relationship tools to use in their relationship, and that they've never had before, and that they've never had a model for. And so and that's just one message. We get regular messages like that through Instagram from people who are really touched. And so I just want to speak to that right off the bat, that your message matters. You might think, well, there's lots of other people out there that someone could be looking at, but what you bring and the way you do it is going to be unique. And what we notice is we're attracting a lot of people who are close to our age. And while there might be people who've been doing this, we've actually just interviewed someone that's going to be on our podcast who's been doing relationship coaching for women in relationship with women for 20 years. And they're a lot older. And the women in their late 20s and early 30s are just not like, yeah, you're my role model. And so even though I'm newer to this realm, they like see this as hopeful, and they're excited to relate to us. I'm using that just as this transparent, vulnerable example to speak to, like, your people are going to resonate with you. So if you're a midlife woman coaching women in midlife love, like Junie, right? That message is going to resonate. They're going to love seeing your pictures. I just saw your pictures, Junie, with you and your man exploring over the weekend. And I thought, yes, this is exactly it. That women are going to say, oh yeah, look at that. And I saw people commenting, oh, you're radiant and glowing. And they're thinking, I want that too. How can I have that? And so for each of you, as you're posting on social media, remembering that you're holding up a mirror for others who are on that path, who resonate with you, who see themselves in you. And this is why it's so important for each of us to share that and not wait for somebody else to do it. So that's part of our focus for today, and why we're bringing in Travis to do a little bit of that Instagram training. And I'll be sharing some more about that as well, and what's been working for me in the early stages, because I have that example of just being newer on the Instagram path with this niche. So I want to open it up to some questions for you now, so we get time to do Q&A before he arrives. So I'm going to see, I already see some hands raised. And Tiffany, yes, it's your double hand raised. You're ready to go.
Yeah, I have Jill and I are at the point now where we're ready to bring in affiliates for our event in the second week of October. And we're at a loss. We're not sure how to do that. Like, can you help us with that?
Yes. Yes.
I don't even know the question to ask.
Okay. So your event's the second week of October, and you're wanting to have affiliate partners promote.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the future, it's great to start a little earlier with the ask. So just saying, for everybody listening, it's great to give people some more notice to be able to send out, because people's promotions calendars can already be quite full. So that's just one thing to consider. But you've still got a few months, so it's good. But what you're going to want them to be mailing for is not usually directly to the event. It'll be to a free gift prior to the event. So if you're, for instance, going to do a free online training, like a Facebook Live series, training or challenge on Facebook, that could be something that they're mailing for. Or if there's an opt-in gift that's happening before that then leads them to the Facebook Live, where they get the offer for the event. um, the easier thing that you can ask people to mail for is always the free thing and the thing that they can download with or get started right away. So it could be a webinar as well. But do you have one of those pieces in place before the event that you could have?
Yeah, we have a 5-day manifestation challenge
Okay.
that we're finishing up today.
Awesome. Okay, you're finishing it up today, so they wouldn't be mailing for that then.
Well, it'll be done probably by 4 o'clock today. The whole funnel will be ready to go.
Oh, the funnel will be ready, but you won't have done it. You won't have aired it. Okay, great. So perfect. So that's a great idea to have people be able to mail for that. And the way to actually, so then you're talking about finding the affiliates is your question, right? Like where to find them?
Well, we have a few people that have already said that they would help us.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know the platform.
Oh.
Like how do we keep track of all of that?
Okay. So this depends on where everything is hosted. Like, are you using Entreport? Let's start with that.
I don't even know where to start.
Okay.
Can I jump in?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll jump in.
So our funnel for this particular gift, like, I'm so glad she asked you this question because we were totally just going to ask our affiliates to put a link to the event. So this is so good that you told us how to do this. So we're going to be.
Well, I will say to one thing, Jill. I will say you can ask them to mail twice, so you can also ask them to then talk about the event. So for those that are doing this and you have events, it's great if they can send out a couple things. But the challenge is people aren't going to just opt into your list for the event. They'll see it and be like, "Oh, I'm not available." Delete.
Right. Okay.
And so you'll get more people on your list and more people in your field that might be able to join something in the future, even if it's virtual. If you mail something that's just a free thing that they can engage.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So our free gift is going to be housed in ClickFunnels.
Okay.
So the question is, and I know how to do an affiliate link through Eventbrite. So I'm kind of familiar there. So I don't know if do we need to add in another platform between them and ClickFunnels so that we can track where the opt-ins come from, or through Constant Contact, or how do we track where it all comes from?
So it would be through, so what I know is from doing this through Entreport, not ClickFunnels, is that there's a way that you just set it up in there to allow for tracking affiliates.
Okay.
So there may be, I would just Google search that for ClickFunnels.
Okay.
Possible in there, because there's really, the other way to do it is if you only have a few affiliates, if someone signs up for a program, you can track it on the back end. So if you're going to do it that way and you have a smaller number of people, like how many people are you expecting to join the final program? What's your...
Our goal is to have 20.
Okay, great. So that in that kind of range, you can, when you're doing the discovery sessions, just ask where did you initially find out about us, or who did you hear about us from? And then they can say, oh, I got a message from my friend Tracy and da-da-da.
Okay.
So
I think I can find that on ClickFunnels.
So that's the basic way, but ideally, ultimately, you'll want to have a way to be able to track those affiliates where it's a special link that's just for them. What you can do, kind of what I know for any kind of platform works as a basic way, is you would make the same funnel again on different links. So, it would be Facebook challenge /Jill, Facebook challenge /Tiffany, Facebook challenge /Kathleen. There would be a different domain spot that you're sending people to, and then they would have only that link that would be adding them into a list. It's more work that way for sure, but it's a way that anyone could be tracking, I've got, if you've got 5 affiliates, for instance, I made 5 separate landing pages for this challenge. It's just a repeat, copy, duplicate the landing page and create a different domain spot for that. So you see anytime people are joining in through that page, they get tagged.
Okay.
Awesome. That was so helpful. Thank you
Okay.
very, very
I know,
much.
I'm sure that some of you are thinking, oh God, I can see the overwhelm already.
No, that
We can do
really
it.
narrowed it down. That was perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Good.
Thanks.
All right, Cindy.
Mute myself there.
Yeah.
So this is a technical question, so you may or may not be able to answer on the spot, but if you could hook me up with maybe even someone from Sage's team, that would be great. I'm feeling that I'm getting really stuck with coordinating all of the various elements. So I started with Infusionsoft, which will lead me to a quick corollary question, because I think I'd like to leave Infusionsoft, and I don't know how I can do that and take my current list with me. I know it's not such an easy thing to do, but right now I've got Infusionsoft, and then with Infusionsoft, I have to link that with ClickFunnels for my funnel. And then with that, I have to click it to Appointment Core for the result strategy sessions, and I have to click it to Elevon for the payment. And now I'm just launching my first online big program for the Art of Feminine Negotiation. And so then I got hooked up with Thinkific for that platform.
Right.
But I feel like I've got too much, and there's got to be an easier way to do it. And ideally what I want is a member site, like for Leverage or Lotus or whatever, where the members can go, the program, they can click on the programs, they can click on an events calendar, and I'm not sure who to use or how to coordinate it.
Thinkific would be, I use Thinkific, so I am familiar with that at least. Thinkific would allow you to have a members platform like that, where you would have all the course material on there. It can drip out the content, so you can say, I only want this to, be sent once they complete module 1, then they get module 2, or things like that. Or you can just have it all there for them. So you get to decide what gets turned on or off, and if things are downloadable. There's a lot of different settings, and every time you upload something, you get to choose what shows there. Thinkific also can have people join a course right on the site and run payment through them. So that could solve that, like that place, if you're just trying to have all the course pieces in one spot.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, like the Thinkific,
It's not a mailing list, though.
What's that?
It's not a mailing list. It's not like a contact management.
Yeah, like ideally, like the contact management makes sense that would be potentially separate, but like I don't know if I need to get software built out to have sort of the member site, like where it's not just, because Thinkific seems to just handle the course, but it wouldn't be a site where people go, and they're making us input it manually. Like they don't automatically give them a password. We have to sort of input something manually and then send them a thing to be able to link on to Thinkific. And ideally, I'd like to have sort of a back room, or whatever you want to call it, the members area, where the members can go and they can go on, what's up, what's, how to register for upcoming events. Here's all the courses that you have, something like that.
We do that on WordPress. I mean, ours is hosted on WordPress. So as far as Women Rocking Business. So it depends on what your site is hosted on, what platform that is. But that's where what you see for Leverage, all that is happening on the WordPress site.
Okay. All right. Okay. And the courses are uploaded on WordPress as well, because we can access all of the various programs and things from there. So that's all through WordPress?
Yeah, we have them all, stored that way. So there's links where you're just clicking on and downloading or streaming content right from the WordPress page.
Okay, super. And if I want to switch from Infusionsoft, what would you suggest as being sort of a better all-inclusive program? And do you know, can I take my current email list with me? And if so, how do I?
You can take your current email list, but I would contact someone. Like, for instance, if you were going to switch to Entreport, they give you a specialist to help you right at the beginning of that transfer, and then they can answer those questions. Like, I wouldn't try to do that without a specialist, because you can make contacts. And I think that they give you at least 1 or 2. I think it's 2 sessions. Two sessions for free with Entreport when you're joining, and they have a specialist that can help you walk through those pieces.
Okay. And would Entreport be your suggestion then, Megan, or?
It's what Sage uses, and it's what I use. And so I'm familiar with that. I've heard, a lot of people love Infusionsoft as well, but if you're not loving it, then look at what is it. I guess I would really get clear on what is it that you're needing, that your needs aren't getting met by Infusionsoft, and then contact an Entreport specialist and ask about how your needs could be met with them. It's about coming to them with your clear question of, this is what I'm needing, and can you do this? I don't know of any service that would be better than, like, the two of them are pretty much the premium contact management providers. So it's really always back and forth between the two of them.
Okay, perfect. And last question, because I think part of my frustration, and maybe that's the case with all of them, is that I need so many. Like, you know, you're paying for ClickFunnels, you're paying for LEV for payment, I'm paying for appointment board to do the scheduling.
So with Entreport, for instance, so I don't know that about Infusionsoft, but with Entreport, you can run payments directly through Entreport. Okay. That's how I do it. And you can also do landing pages directly through Entreport. They have Entre Pages. Yeah. And so then the payment gets integrated on there.
Okay. All right.
I don't pay for other services other than Thinkific.
Okay. Good to know.
What that is. Well, Zoom. I mean, yes, there's other services like those kind of things, but as far as the managing client base and pages for content and lead pages and opt-ins and all that stuff, it gets run through Entreport. And Entreport is great also because you can have people on monthly payment plans through that, and running those pieces in a way that, you know, if you use PayPal for that, that's possible too, but PayPal is not always entrepreneurial friendly. They can hold payment for a long time, and whereas Entreport, this is what they do. So they know it's normal to have payments coming in at all weird times and different large amounts and small amounts, and they're not worried about it.
Okay. And can you schedule your coaching calls or your result strategy session calls on there as well, or is that a separate platform?
Oh, that would be, I don't think that they have an integration for that. Okay. It would be a separate platform. So for me, I use Acuity on my personal ones. It's different than what we use for Women Rocking Business. But that's based on a website because I have a Squarespace website and they give you free Acuity scheduling. So sometimes there's links up often between these systems of like which system. I would just look and see for the systems you're using, like what integrates best with your system. What's the one that they recommend? And that's usually what I would go with, because the one that's built to integrate with whatever platform you're using for any of you is going to be the easiest thing to focus.
Okay. May I interrupt for a second? Cindy, why don't you give me a call? There's one thing I'd like to talk to you about that may help with this integration problem. Okay?
Sounds fabulous.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks.
Helping each other. Awesome. Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks.
Interrupt too for a second. Because I just want to share that I love ActiveCampaign, and they have a lot of integrations as well. And I use ThriveCart, which runs all the payments. And I just like, I don't know, I've used this setup and I like it. So the ThriveCart runs the payments, and then there is, and then all my WordPress on my do you have a WordPress website,
Cindy? You're unmuted. Hang on.
Hi. I'm going to have to double check. I'm not sure if yes, it is WordPress. Yep.
So like Sage, I put my course on WordPress because there's a link, all these link up together, but then you can use the WordPress as a membership site just like Sage does. You just need, like for me, it's Active Member 360, then flows everything into the membership side.
Okay.
There's so many different ways to set it up, you know, and I know Megan's awesome in telling you what's easiest. I think with the Entreport, it's more expensive, but it does have more in it. But then like the ActiveCampaign, I pay less, but then it also has integration. So whichever is easy once you get it set up. So it can go any which way.
That's a great point, Stacey. It's not easy to make the switch around, like the back and forth between things. It's easier to build on what you're using. And so all of you, when you have something, you're like, oh, I've been using this, maybe I should switch now that I'm hearing. No, don't think that. That's a waste of time. Just like keep moving forward with all the integrations that you have if it's working fine for you. So yeah, ActiveCampaign is a great option.
Okay. I just want great support too. So I like it.
I just wanted to say one of the ones I really like is Zoho. There's a bit of a learning curve, but they do have all kinds of courses. They give you 30 days they gave me 60 days of support. And it's your CRM, it's the website, it can run the campaigns. There's 40 different apps to run your business. I think it's marvelous.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is great for those of you who are still looking for platforms and you're trying to figure out. They all give you a free starting period of whatever it is. Usually it's like a couple weeks of checking something out. So you can always log into something, look at like what happens in their back end, what's possible, compare those, see what works for your budget and what you're needing, and just see what you love. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Akila and Stacy, for adding in. And next question, Sarah Coolidge.
Hi. I am working on putting on an event the same weekend as Jill and Tiffany. There's only so many weekends in the year. And I have a small space that can really only hold about 20 people. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to oversell it, watching Sage and how we had 700 people sold for Women Rocking Business and only, I don't know, 500 came or whatever. Do you have numbers on the ratios that it kind of sell 25 if you want 20, sell 30 if you want 20? Does that make sense, the question?
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. So yeah, there's always no show, or pretty much. I mean, I think I've heard of one time someone in Leverage that had everyone's show. So my experience is everything I hear from clients and what I've experienced myself is that there are no shows. So, but you do have to be prepared. If you oversell it, what are you going to do with these with these ones? How could you possibly fit them in? So it could be like 25 for 20. This is why it's important to have the seat deposit, though, if you're going to do a free event, because my experience when it's totally free, like free talks, is I typically will have half the attendance. And so that's not great when you have such a limited space and you don't have the overflow. What I would recommend for most of you is to have a little extra buffer room in your space so that you can talk about selling it for a certain number. Like if you were selling a room for 20, but you actually had room for 30, and then it's no problem if everybody shows, because you don't want to have to turn anybody away.
So what I'm hearing you say is if I know I can't fit 30, I shouldn't sell 30 no matter what, even though we know some will probably cancel.
Well, I mean, I do agree with overselling it, but it's just like, what could you do to have that possibility of getting in close if you need to?
Okay, so study the space.
Yeah, so figure out your space, see how many chairs could fit in there, and if it's cozier. If they do all show, then that's awesome for you. What we know is when you're doing follow-up calls and you're, welcoming people to the event right after they book a ticket. So within 24 to 48 hours after they book a ticket, you welcome call them. And then we're doing that for Women Rocking Business Live as well. And then calling them again a few days prior to the event and just saying, we're looking forward to seeing you. At this point, this is when you're most likely going to hear from people. Oh, actually, yeah, I'm not coming anymore. Something came up, like in that final call. So, but I've also had people totally confirm and then not show and just totally ghost, any communications after that. So that, I know this is not what you want to hear, those of you that are putting on events, but it's just real talk. And so this is why it is important to go for the numbers that are more than you need to have in the room. So I think it's a good question, Sarah. But you really want to do everything that you can to make sure that those ones who are confirmed, like they've got a seat deposit in, they've been called a couple times, they've watched a pre-training video or something, had a homework assignment, like they're engaged with you in advance.
So I think I'll manifest a waiting list. How's that?
Yes.
A big fat waiting list.
Awesome.
Okay. And I would just like to request that we review the raise hand thing, because I've seen people a few times doing this and not knowing how to do it through Zoom. And I know it feels crappy to going, how do I get picked? What do I have to do?
Right. Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. So this is great to say. So I see what happens for me is I'm looking at the raised hands on the side bar for me. For all of you, you would go to the bottom of your screen under participants. And when you click on participants, you'll see a bar open on the side of your screen that has a list of everybody. You go to your name, click on the more button. And when you click on the more button, it'll say raise hand. Okay. So thanks, Sarah, for that question. If you're on the phone,
Megan, about the raised hand.
It's *6 or *9. Try both.
Megan, can I just jump in real quick about the raised hand thing? I think it's a little different on different browsers or different.
Oh, okay.
Like for me, it's participants and then the panel opens, but then there's no more next to my name, but at the bottom left, there's a little menu and it says raise hand.
Oh, great. Okay. Different for you. It may be because I'm hosting. Also, the more. I can do lots of things when I hit the more. Lots of permissions there. So yeah, so for you, if it's at the bottom of the screen, raise hand. And I am looking, at both, but primarily on the side here. All right. Kira, I'm gonna unmute you.
Right. Gosh, I'm learning so much from these questions. So on this last one with Sarah, when you said to give people a welcome call, and then how far in advance do you give them that last reminder call?
So this is for an event that's, multiple day event that so two things. For a meetup type of event, it's great to give them a call 24 to 48 hours in advance. For a multiple day event, you may be full on in the event preparations at that point, or your team may be, so it may be more like 5 days out. Something like that would be fine, but you definitely want it within that last week right before the event, giving them the reminder call.
Perfect.
So what we're doing, for instance, is calling people about a week out from, or within that last week, so 5 to 7 days from the Women Rocking Business Live event, and then we're going to allow people to pre-book some laser coaching with the coaches at the event, but in that call with us. And so there's a reason that we're calling, not just saying calling to confirm, but calling to let you know we're going to have, we're opening up some laser coaching spots at the event. This means you're going to get private one-on-one time with a coach to answer your questions. We want to make sure we get a spot saved for you. Do you want to do that now? So then they're also more engaged. So if you think about something like that you could have people doing at the event, it's like, oh, this is a next step for you to take. It keeps them engaged.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good clarification. So I had a couple of really quick questions. I think they're quick. One is I have a few friends that are really working to build their YouTube presence. Is that something that you do? Is YouTube a platform that we should also be looking at along with the Instagram and the Facebook?
Good question, because one of the things we're going to talk about is how it's so important not to be overwhelmed by all the different platforms. And I could talk about this right now. So as Travis doesn't need to be here for this. So it's important not to be overwhelmed by thinking you need to do all the different platforms. Instead, it's about picking what platform is really energizing for you. So my theory on this is if you're not going to enjoy some element of this, you're going to avoid it, or you're going to feel like it's another to do, it's another should, it's another have to. So I live a very pleasure-based life in business as well. And I feel like if it's something that feels like a real chore for you, it's just going to end up at the bottom of your list constantly. So for some of you, that looks like video is your nightmare. And you do not want to get on video, and you would like to do anything to avoid that and come up with long to-do lists to avoid that. YouTube isn't going to be your platform. So for some of you, you're like, oh my gosh, I would rather do a video any day than try to come up with like a pictures and like one-liner thing and do that on Instagram. And so then it's going to be a great platform for you to hop on video there, or Facebook Live video, or Instagram Live. I mean, there's live on there too, but if video is your thing, there's, all three of those have ways for you to do live or do video. And it's more about where is your energy rising up and where are your ideal clients. So this combination of the two, where do your ideal clients hang out? Are they searching on YouTube, or are they on Pinterest? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? What's the combination? And so that would be the starting point. I know, so Women Rocking Business has a YouTube profile. You can search on YouTube and see the Women Rocking Business profile there, and the videos that Sage regularly uploads onto there. And we definitely have built up client engagement and people to join in on the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood page on Facebook through that, or having people come to events through that page. But you want to have somewhere that you can lead people to. So for instance, excuse me, you can lead people to your Facebook groups from your YouTube channel and talk about how you'll be answering more questions there or engaging in the group there. Or similarly, you could have an Instagram page where you're talking about just uploaded a new video on YouTube. Go check it out. The link's in my profile. The link's in my bio. So integration between the platforms really works well, where you're sending people to go check out something on, on another platform or engage with you in a deeper way. Not only the standalone, but the great thing about YouTube videos is people can search by keywords. So it's important to, when you're uploading videos on YouTube, to definitely have your list of keywords that they might be searching. And you can test that out to see, well, what are those words that people are searching more? Or when I post a video and put in keywords like women in business or women entrepreneurs, or what Sage found, like women speakers, that got more attention than just posting like women entrepreneurs. And so what people might be searching for is is important in the YouTube search function.
Okay, yeah, that's very helpful, because I'm definitely feeling drawn to use YouTube, but I'm not really sure how to actually make it work for me. And so that's been kind of pushing it aside, because I'm like, well, I don't know what I need to focus on, what I know is bringing people to me at this time.
And that's true. So what we recommend is, like, as you're building your business, until you get to that first tier goal that you're wanting to get to. So for some of you, it's like you're wanting to get to 6 figures, for instance, and you use one method of engaging, and that's your main place where people can find you. That's really what we recommend as a starting point. And then once you've grown past that, then you may want to expand.
Yeah. So in the emailing process, this is the other platform that I'm working on utilizing more effectively to bring people to me. I have heard, don't put links in your emails too frequently. Like one coach said, 5-to-1 rule, like 5 emails that are just about giving information, and then you have one that has a link in it. And that feels like a lot of emails to me. And so I'm wondering, what's your perspective on that?
This is based on the fact that when emails have too many links, they get filtered out into spam or junk folders. And so you can definitely still have links in your emails, but it might be one link. You're not having 5 links all the way through, because then that's really the traditional like marketing copy of like register here, register here, register here, register here, keep the call to action going. Those kind of emails can be filtered out a lot more easily. So we still definitely put in links in the emails, but it's usually, it could be a link to like the Facebook group or a link to watch something like watch a YouTube video that was just released. And so there's often an action there that's drawing people away. There's a link in there, but it's not like filling the whole email with call to action links or registration.
So one call to action at the end after you put the value in.
Yeah, and then some of those other ones where you need to have more calls to action and it's your launch, and then you're going to have more links and emails in there. Yeah. Okay. But what they're speaking to really is the importance of having value delivered in the emails, that you're not just like, buy this thing, buy this thing, buy this thing. No, it's like 1, buy this thing, 5, here's a free video, here's a free checklist. Check out my Facebook group and join us for a free training this week. Here's this, recipe that I made over the holidays and that I thought you'd love to. Hope you're having a great holiday celebration. Buy this thing. Like it's kind of that method where they're saying 5 to 1, that you're being more personal in the other 5 and you're sharing more, like how can you just interact for free, because the majority of your list is not going to actually be buyers. It's more of like between 1 and 5% of your list that are actual buyers, and others are interested and they want to follow along with you, but they're not necessarily buying.
Okay, so in those ones, then it's okay to still have invite to my Facebook group or invite to my YouTube video.
Yes, but don't confuse them with too many invitations.
Right, just one of those in one.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that was really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great questions. Awesome. All right, I want to move through the rest of the questions for the hands that are raised right now. So no more raising hands for this segment because we're going to raise hands for the next one. So Rachel.
Hey there.
Yes.
Hi.
Hey. What's your question?
So I need some help, Megan. I've got a lot happening and I want to fit in a Facebook challenge as well. And so basically I got my one day coming up this Saturday, the 17th.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about having a Facebook challenge next week. And then the following week I have events, and I have my certification program starting in early September. So there's a lot happening. I mean, I think I could fit it in, but I'm just figuring out about promotion and things like that and timing.
So you want to be just promoting one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And so if you were promoting it next week, would that work? So you have your one day event, but then you want to promote a Facebook challenge after your event. What I would speak about is at the challenge, it can be pieces from your live event. For people who weren't able to be with you live, you're getting to use that energy of here's what we did live. And I would recommend this for all of you who are doing live events. Do like, here's what we did live. I want to share this with you. I would make it a 3-day challenge, not 5.
Yeah, I was thinking 3. Yeah.
And so then you would market it on like Monday, Monday, Tuesday, for instance, or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, having marketing going out potentially. Have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I could do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah. So I have like 3 days to promote. And then part of me is like, well, then I won't have much resting, but then I can always just set them in advance, right? I can always schedule.
Well, and that's what I would say. Yeah. So as far as you'll have a little rest after the, like the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday after your event, and you're just sending some posts, but then actual training videos where you're going live with people.
Yeah. It'd be like half an hour.
Yeah. It's not a long time.
Right.
Yes.
I think it should work out because I want to get the word out to more people about my program and my events too. But I mean, number one, my program, all roads are leading to that right now.
Yes, exactly. And that's going to pay off for you to have it right after the event too.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. You gave me more inspiration to go for it. Okay. Thank you, Megan.
Yeah. Go for it. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Stacy.
Hey there. Hey. Okay, Coach.
Event preparation too.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Anywho, My question goes alongside probably Rachel's, which she was just talking about, getting clarity around the promotion time. I have a million things going on, and I just put like the first workshop in place, right? Small workshop to do 2 weeks out, the event second week in November. And so and ThriveCart, which I told you guys about before, that's where I'm creating all my affiliate links. And so people that I'm going to be connecting with to promote me will each have, have my event page like Sage's that will have the Thrive, it'll connect there. So I'll be giving people my event page. So the question I'm just getting confused about, same thing, like what to promote when, because I can do live trainings, like I had the challenge we talked about, but if last year I ran a challenge and it was like, I promoted for a good month and and it was rough and I was still, like yours ads, it was boosting, it was like all this stuff. And I don't have the time to do that now. Plus I want all my roads to lead, like we just talked about, to the big event, the 3-day. So I'm just like a little overwhelmed in the timeline of things. Like, yeah.
Okay.
I'm open to doing whatever it takes to fill this thing. Cause I have big, a lot of people I want to get in there.
Yes. Yeah. So as far as the timeline of things for you, Stacy, again, it's going to be important for you to only be marketing to invite people into one next step at a time. And so if you have a live speaking engagement and that's where you're inviting them from there, then they would be coming to the live event. If you're doing the Facebook challenge, then that's your next step and you're focusing on that. So you want to have the pieces spread out so that there's not more than one happening per week, at least, I would say. Like that would be a good, put it out on a calendar to see, okay, how can you spread these things out so that each week you're just focusing on the next step, the next thing that someone could come to and join. And then as far as direct marketing to the event, that would be happening closer to the event. The early stages are bringing them into something else that they can get more involved with you rather than just a direct event ticket sale.
But I guess when does that happen? Because I have people that have said, I'll put you on my podcast, I'll interview you, like all these amazing things. So if they're doing that, though, then they need the link that goes directly, I think, to the bigger event, because some of these people might not be local.
Right.
So they need to know ahead of time if they're going to travel here.
Yeah. So the important thing to find out if you're getting interviewed on a podcast is when will they be able to air it? And you want to make a request for when they air it. So the sooner they air it, the better.
Yeah.
And then in the podcast, you speak about one of these things. So ideally it would be that you speak about a free gift that you've designed just for this, just for this time. That's then part of a sequence where people will get the free gift and then they get invited to the next, step, which might be to an online training, like a Facebook training, where anyone could do that from wherever they are in the world. And then from that, you're talking about the event ticket sales. So the challenge, if you can definitely talk about the event on every podcast, I would talk about that. So you're piquing people's attention, but have the podcast host post a couple links, and for everybody, we want to make sure we get you this free download and this free gift and work that into your talk, because if they're only getting the link for the live event, you may lose people. Right. You will lose people that could be potentially jumping into your list.
But I guess when is the flip over? I guess I'm still like, is it September? If I have 14, 15, 16 November, is it September where it's just game on into your event? The one prior?
Yeah, it's game on now. And
that's just it. So it's still confusing, because people locally, I want to tell them about the big event now. I don't want to just be like, come into my challenge.
People
my Facebook group would say may or may not join.
Here's an example, though. So tonight, Sage is giving her talk in San Diego. She's not saying come to the live event. She's saying come to this 2-hour free talk. Mm-hmm. That's it. We're not talking about the live event to them. Because when they're at the talk, it's so much more enticing than just seeing a post.
But I mean, if you go, I mean, I go on Facebook and all I see is Sage. So I mean, she's
She's
everywhere in the ads. Yeah.
Running ads. She's totally running ads for it. So you can have the ads running or posting for it as well. But when you get people into a room with you or spending a few days with you on a challenge, they're just more likely to say yes. So what I'm saying is you can have, for a podcast, for instance, you could have them post a link that say, oh, as listeners of the podcast, Stacy wants to gift you tickets for the event. We've got limited spots available, so you want to grab that right away, and you can work that in to the talk, and then say, you know, for all of you, we want to make sure that you get the checklist or the three steps that relate to what we've been teaching you about today. Yeah. So you would have those two links, they'd put them in the show notes, and you'd be able to talk about both.
Okay. And same thing with like just like Facebook Lives and stuff for people, to their audiences, you know, in their groups.
Yeah, I mean, in the
I feel like you got to get the 3 months out. Like people, if they're going to get on a plane, they're going to.
Yeah. So Facebook Lives into someone else's group, you can definitely be inviting directly to your event and talking about that and just making that the main priority. It's a matter of, if you're wanting to really grow your list as well and get people on there for what happens after the event, because my experience with the event is that there's a certain, you know, there's the people that come live to the event, and then there's the people who really wanted to, that are interested in everything that you're saying, but they couldn't come for whatever reason. They still are great potential clients. And so after the live event, then you want to have, just like Rachel's doing, kind of a training follow-up online for all those people that you gathered in the pool ahead of time that couldn't come.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wanting you to think about those people too. I know that the focus is really on get them in the room, get them to the event, and then the other pool of people that will end up potentially making, you know, could be almost half of the people who register for your program can come from that pool that didn't get to the event.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's still confusing to me, but that's okay. I'll just do what I feel on this. Like,
I know that it's
promoting, because there's so many, like, different ways that people said they, you know, that maybe they would promote, or they've talked to people about connecting around it. And
I mean, and you can always just keep offering the free event tickets.
Yeah, but they're going to get a payout on the back end. Like, all they want to promote is the event, you know, the bigger event. So because, you know, it'll lead
out from that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So incentive. Anyway. Okay. Thank you on that.
Okay.
On the calls that you were talking about earlier, it's probably best to have an assistant or somebody else make that call, correct?
Oh, yeah. Having an assistant or someone else make those calls for you is, ideal, to not have it be you. Like the coaching team is doing them for business.
But what if you don't have all of that, and you don't have the coaching sessions, people on site? Like, what else would you?
You can trade with another person here who's also having an event, and you can all of a sudden, Stacy, you're Rachel's calling from Rachel's office, and Rachel's calling from Stacy's office. Yeah. So that's one of the ways that many leverage women over the years have done this, the little call campaign thing, because it's a matter of, you know, you take an afternoon and you're like, I'm going to call everybody and take care of this. And
okay. Well, I'm open to any ladies that want to talk about that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a good thread to start on the page and be in that communication. Okay. Awesome. All right. Siddiqui.
Yay. Okay, so I hear all the overwhelm, and I'm echoing it in terms of all the systems and structures. And finally I said, okay, I can't do this. So I just went out to the desert and sat and meditated for 4 days. And then on the way out, got stuck in a sandbar. And so I was there for another day. And I was like, what is the universe trying to tell me? And I finally realized, I've been in business for a long time. I don't need anything fancy. I just need to get butts and seats for my virtual visibility class. Mm-hmm. And I don't have that many affiliate people. It's not 100, it's 6. So I made a freaking Google spreadsheet, and I had to get with my OCD perfectionistic self that wants all the programs to intermingle and create a rainbow and make it easy and beautiful. And I was like, yeah, I could spend the next year in perfectionism trying to get all this stuff set up, or I could just have conversations. And so I had this like heart to heart in the middle of the desert with no food. And I'm like, here's the conversation. You're just going to call people and like start pitching the idea for this program. And so that's what I've done, just over like all these things, and just into it, because I was so messed up in my head about like, what am I doing next? And I had charts, and I just went into shutdown. So I don't know if you have any feedback on that, but I figured, listen, it's going to be a lot easier to pay for Entreport and Thinkific and like all these things once I actually have people that have said yes and have signed up. And you know, otherwise it's just a point.
So I love this, Siddiqui. I mean, you're in a position where you're having people, you're wanting people to join a program that you already have contacts and kind of ideal client lead potentials for, right? So doing that direct reach out to them and calls to them is going to be a great idea for you. Anytime any of you can just get on the phone with people and have these conversations, that is huge. So I love that you're doing that and not waiting to have all the fancy things. And the same thing for all of you who are hosting events. Like I know Stacy has said this as well. You've got people who've been saying, I would love to come. Like I want to come. So it's making a list of those people. Make your spreadsheet of who are these people? I'm going to get on the phone with them first. And it also creates a lot more confidence to keep moving forward and be in the momentum when you have those first people that are saying, yes, I want to join you and do this.
Yeah. And I just want to say I had a whole list of affiliates, and some of them are like my best friends, and they're like big names in the business. And a couple of them were like, no, because now you're our competition. I had a total meltdown. I was like, what do you mean you won't promote for me? And I realized like, as I get bigger and step into this bigger space, I'm not coming at it like this little victim, like, will you please help me by promoting? I'm like, no, this is what I'm offering. And they're like, whoa, now you're competition, which I also had to sit in the desert and like have a couple of tears and be like, okay, this is good. It's like when you get a big tax bill, it means you made a lot of money, you know?
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to be, you know, to have them seeing you as competition. And you know, I would challenge them to say, well, now we're playing in the same playing field. Like, do you really want to burn this bridge of support? I mean, we can help each other here. And I want to support you as you continue to grow, and you can support me as well. So there's going to be lots of people who see it that way as well. And the ones who don't aren't the right partners.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share on the growing pains, just in case anybody else is overwhelmed. And I'm happy to, I'm like the queen of Google spreadsheets.
You are.
If anybody, the queen of Google spreadsheets. So if anybody wants me to share my spreadsheet on like the affiliates and stuff like that, it's so simple, and I'm happy to do it. Just one last thing that you have to create yourself.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Kiki. I'm sure, yes, you've got lots of thumbs up. If you want to share anything like that on your, you know, a version of that, your blank version, obviously not with your affiliate information on it, but like a blank copy on the leverage page, that would be awesome. If you got happy hands. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. And you could have great partners here, Siddiqui, for what you're doing around the visibility challenge. I think it's super hot. Plus, lots of you will want to take it yourself, because that's what we're talking about today. It's visibility.
Oh, you know, and just one more thing. Before I could afford an assistant, I had like a virtual persona. And I created this whole like assistant persona, like Julie. And it was like, oh, Julie forgot to send you the scheduling link. I'm so sorry. Let me do it. And literally when I make sales calls, I like get a costume on. I'm like the business bitch. It's like Devil Wears Prada. I'm in all black. And I'm like, right, we're going to get in this mindset. And so we don't need a lot of money to do this. We need to just segment our pieces of selves and like create all these different characters until we can actually fill them with real people.
I love that. Yep. Totally. I love that. All right. Dr. Kelly, you're next, and then Aaron, and then we're going to invite Travis to jump in and lead with us, because he'll be here in a second. So Dr. Kelly.
Yes. So just a couple different questions. This has been a question I've been wanting to ask for a while, and I think it's more of like a headspace thing, and that is around the free events. You know, we offer a free ticket, and we're like free ticket, free ticket, free ticket, and value of, and yet my understanding is no one actually puts money on the barrel for that free ticket. And I'm just having this internal like around it. So that's the first piece. There's a piece of it just doesn't feel authentic to me. So I just want to name that and speak it out into the room because it's something I think I'm challenged by.
So the piece that doesn't feel authentic is saying that the value of the ticket is $500, for instance, but no one's
and you're like giving it as a bonus and as a gift. And there's this, in my mind, this perception of, oh, people are actually might be sitting next to you that have paid $1,000 or $500 or whatever that number is. It's this like perceived value. And yet the truth of it is everyone's getting it for free. So I know it's a headspace thing, but it's something I'm challenged by. I don't know if anybody else might also be challenged. So I figured I'd speak it into the room.
Yes. So the way we talk about this is, again, it's the value of the ticket. And then we're offering, scholarship tickets. So you're not saying that, some people are paying and some people aren't, if that's not what you're doing. I mean, some of you might do that. You might have paid tickets that you're offering on a website, and then you have another page you're sending people to where they get the scholarship ticket. So if you're just doing all scholarship tickets, then you would be talking about it that way. Like we've got, 50 scholarship tickets available, for instance.
Okay. And then the other piece like around, which is great that we're talking about visibility, because I've been wanting to really learn more of Instagram, which is perfect for our call today. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to one of my assistants and she's like, okay, we got to, we really want to help you to kind of up this brand. And, she was showing me some examples, and like some of these examples were like women, and like almost all the pictures were all about like the woman and like her, I don't know, like it seems, again, it's a headspace thing. Like it seems quite narcissistic. Like it's all about me, like me with my husband, me with my kid, me with, like, I don't know. So this is something as a piece of vulnerability, another piece that, like, I love delivering content. I'm loving my Facebook Lives, and I'm also wanting to make that transition of up-leveling.
Yeah, it is. It's very, I would say it's very personal. I mean, that's what people are watching it for, as far as like you watching an Instagram, and especially with, I know you're wanting to sell a program that's inviting people into lifelong love.
Love, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And are you married?
Yes. And
and you have love?
Yes.
And part of your story is that you've been able to create this, and there are tools that you've learned in your life to create this love, and you really want to support others to join you on that journey.
Absolutely.
It's pretty narcissistic. I'm just teasing you.
I know. No, I don't take that way. It's like, I know it's something I need to get over to increase the visibility.
Yeah. And I'm saying it because, yes, it is like everything we're doing, when it's that kind of a personal offering in that way, they want to see proof.
Okay.
Go and look and say, hey, what are you doing? And if, Rachel, I don't know if you have an Instagram. Do you have an Instagram? Yeah. Okay. So I imagine on your Instagram, you have some things about angels and spiritual practices, and you might have things with your family in there too, but you're probably tying it back to how it relates to like spirituality and connecting with your guides and all of those. Yep, I see you nodding. So that side of things, but people do want to see you. So one thing we know is they don't just want to see a bunch of quotes and just like nothing to do with you personally. They want to see your face as well. Quotes can be great, but they want to see like, oh, what's going on in your life? What we know is like Instagram stories, as we turn more into this side, really help build followers, because people just want to see this. And I had resistance a long time to this. And I will say that my assistant is amazing on Instagram. She has almost 6,000 followers. And she teaches Instagram trainings within my courses and in years past as well. And I had so much resistance to doing things I saw her do, like Instagram stories where she's like, I'm just saging my space, and I'm, here's what I'm eating, and we're out doing whatever out at the park, and then she's getting clients because they're like, oh my God, I love your dog. I have a dog like that, and can we talk? And then it happened to me that once I started doing that, and I think I said this to some of you, I don't know if it was on a call, but I was on a discovery call with someone from Instagram who said, I know this is strange, but is your dog around?
Oh,
yeah. And I said, yes, she's right beside me. And I bring her over and pull her up, and they're like, well, we just really wanted to meet her. And that's what you ended up enrolling. And they ended up, they were dog trainers.
okay.
So it's that kind of, like, what are those little links that you might think, like, this is ridiculous, it has nothing to do with my ideal clients, but it's all who you are. So the main thing is it's about being authentic. Okay. So I'm not borrowing someone else's dog to include, because we know that animals get following on Instagram. I'm saying, like, this is actually a part of my life, and so here she is, and I'm including her. And yes, it's true. Like, I have morning yoga practice, and I do sage the space, and I do these woo things. And so I'm going to put them on there because I'm going to totally repulse people who think that's ridiculous and don't want anything to do with that. And that's good, because they'll hate my retreats anyway.
Totally.
So, like, that's the thing to think about. How can you add more of you on there so that your ideal clients are like, oh my gosh, yes, I resonate. I see, like what I was saying at the very beginning, I see this mirror in Dr. Kelly, like this same possibility. We resonate. Okay. So part of it is that vulnerability of, I'm going to add in these things that, like, some people are going to think are weird, or like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other examples like that, but like those personal practices that you have, like if you hike a lot and you want to be outdoors, like sharing those things, and you'll resonate with people who also are like, oh yeah, I love that. And yeah.
Okay.
I know we're kind of getting into the Instagram realm already, but does that help?
It does help, and I would love to have kind of like a beautiful, because I like beauty, like a really beautiful unified Instagram. And I'm just, the woman that's helping me, it's just not happening. So we're like trying different things. And so if you have any recommendations, and it's like, I don't want to sit through another course. Like, I just need some help with this. So,
awesome.
So it sounds like it'll tie into what we're doing today.
Awesome. It's totally going to tie into what we're doing. And I see that Travis is here. I'm going to make you the co-host. Yay. So just a second here. Hello. We're going to jump on over into some Instagram training with you. I'm so glad to have you with us today. And I just want to give you a proper introduction, because I did talk about you a little bit at the beginning of the call when you weren't here, but I just wanted everybody to know where you come from. So Travis works with Sage's colleague, Pamela Bruner, and together, some of you have met her at our past events. And together, they have a consulting firm that's helped Women Rocking Business almost double their revenue and create a 25% uplift using social media strategies with mostly Facebook and Instagram. And Travis is super knowledgeable on Instagram, and Sage really leans on him weekly to support the team with building the Women Rocking Business Instagram following. And Travis's team has helped Sage turn $35,000 of ad spend into over $100,000 of revenue. So they're super good at what they do. And as all of you scale, and especially once you're at six figures, you might want to consider working with Travis and their team. So that's why we wanted to have Travis on to give you some Instagram insight. And so I'd love to just open it up to you, Travis. And then we're going to have also Selena speak for a few minutes more around 11:30. So just go from here, Travis.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about Instagram. And I loved hearing what you guys are talking about in the few minutes leading up to this, about that desire to really be authentic on Instagram and not just be another person who's like, hey, look at this great meal I just had, this is all about me, I'm the best. And there's definitely it's better if you proceed on Instagram authentically. And I think that what we'll look at today will really help hopefully overcome some of those fears and hesitancies with progressing on Instagram. And one of the other things I'm aware of is that some people here are in very different places from each other. So we have some people who have, very large Instagram accounts, and some people who haven't even bothered to download Instagram. Like, it's a very big stopper. So hopefully what we talk about today kind of is useful for everyone, no matter where you're at. And we'll have a lot of visuals and examples that kind of make it easier for those who, like me, are very visually inclined. Any questions before we get started? I'm going to share my screen if that works for you guys.
Let's just jump into you, and then we'll have raised hands afterwards. So I'm going to also lower all the hands that have already been raised so that you can raise them after. Okay.
Perfect. All right. So I'm not going to read word for word. I think that'd be pretty boring for you guys if I just read through a Word doc. And as much as this is a way for us to keep track of what we're talking about, right? So in terms of what Instagram is, I think it's worth talking about because, a lot of people speak about it as this nebulous thing, and it almost becomes this legendary platform capable of so many things that you don't even want to get started. And at its foundation, Instagram is fairly straightforward. It's a really nicely built app for sharing images quickly with people who follow you, right? Like most social media apps that you may be on, the core essence of Instagram is sharing images with followers, and then you also reciprocally following other people and getting to understand either about their business or their life or, their dog or whatever they've chosen to share about on their profile. And so the first little bit of this doc kind of walks through some visual examples of what Instagram looks like in case you're not super familiar with Instagram as a platform. You can direct message your friends, or people can reach out to you. It's social media, so especially when we're talking about business, you're going to get people reaching out to connect with you one-on-one. And like Megan was talking about earlier, that's such an amazing part of business. People really want to connect with the you behind the brand. Gone, I think, are the days of a business that is just, there's this brick and mortar building and there's no one who's really the face of this brand. It's very impersonal, and people tend not to like that as much as they really do appreciate someone they can connect with and see pictures of their dog or see that there's a real human being behind the brands that are on Instagram. So I'm happy to share this doc with you guys afterwards. I've written it in such a way that is informative but not boring, so that if you do want to read through this and get an understanding, like, I've never used Instagram before, the first couple of pages are really perfect for that. Here we see some examples of what I was talking about with feed posts and Instagram stories and people being able to direct message you from there. But we'll go ahead and skip down and start talking specifically about Instagram for business, because I think this will be the most relevant for you guys here. So there are two types of accounts that you can have on Instagram. And most of you, I don't know where you're at necessarily in your business right now, but if you have an Instagram, it likely started out as your own personal Instagram account, a way for you to keep up with your friends and a way for them to keep up with you as well. However, with any Instagram account, you can switch it to an Instagram for business account. And there are plenty of walkthroughs that can show you how to make that switch. Thankfully, it's as simple as a few button clicks. And I'm not going to waste your time walking through the specifics of that unless it would be super useful for you. But I'll tell you the why behind why this would be useful for you. And then we'll talk more about how to make this nebulous thing more authentic. And I also have some examples and tips from people who are doing this well later on, and some examples and tips from people we've worked with and other people in the space who will have very useful insights on making your profile beautiful without having to spend every hour of your day trying to curate content. So a couple of cool little stats for you guys. One study found that 72% of respondents purchased items they discovered via Instagram content. Now, for a lot of you, you may not be selling physical products, right? It could be anything from some sort of, video training or some sort of non-physical product or consulting or coaching. And this works in much the same way. And the way I always talk with people about this is a lot of it goes back to your own buying habits and being really self-aware of that. When you meet somebody for the first time, typically you're not just going to buy anything they offer you, right? You want to know a little more about them so that you can, know whether or not you like them, know whether or not you trust them before you're willing to proceed forward with them in business. And Instagram has become probably one of the best places for businesses to build what marketers often call like, know, trust, right? And so that little 3-word catchphrase, like, know, trust, is, in my opinion, one of Instagram's greatest strengths. It's a very visual way of showing people about your brand so that they know whether or not they like you by clicking the like button. They can build that sense of trust with you because now that they know about you, they can get a sense of who you are and what you stand for. And over time, those things lead to them trusting your brand. And Megan was talking about, to one of you guys about feeling inauthentic on Instagram, like, oh, how dare I share about me, because that would be so vain. But when people come to Instagram, they like knowing about you. It's figuring out how you communicate in a way that's authentic to you. And I think that if you're truly not a vain person, you're not going to come across as vain. Like, a lot of you have very heart-centered businesses and you're truly trying to make a difference in the world and help other people. If anything, you're going to over-communicate that than under-communicate that, right? Like, I see some heads nodding. Definitely.
Definitely, all of you.
Yeah, like, I would be more concerned with anything of just analysis paralysis, like this fear of not taking action because you don't know the first step to take or where to even begin or how one would even make this useful over time. So we'll talk a little more about that and kind of address those concerns and hopefully make this useful and exciting and something you look forward to doing as opposed to something that, you're afraid of taking action on. So we'll go ahead and talk a little about your photography and branding because you guys were already talking about that. And I had a feeling that would be top of mind for several of you. So there's this idea that your Instagram profile should tell a visual story and tell it consistently. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, you don't have to be perfect. So go ahead and forgive yourself for that. There doesn't need to be this like artistically drawn and curated profile where you've carefully taken your brush and painted all the way down and everything looks like Picasso just mapped this out from the beginning, Instagram is true to life, right? When people are posting on Instagram, most people like the idea of a carefully curated and perfectly branded profile, but 90% of people don't have time for that. So I think it's key to strike a balance with the content you're producing and to show yourself a little grace while you're doing it. Even Pamela, who's my boss, who works alongside of Sage, she's the first to admit that, posting organically on social media, definitely not her cup of tea. She doesn't do it as often as she would like to. And when she does, sometimes she doesn't know always what to post about. However, her strength is, marketing and paid advertising, etc. And so for her, she's willing to lean on our team and lean on others for advice and consideration and, to talk through these things. And that's something that I would definitely use your tribe for. If you're uncertain about what to post about or if something makes sense or communicated, like, don't be afraid to ask other people. If anything, you're not going to find out the answers just because you didn't ask, right? So definitely take the time to ask your friends, your colleagues, etc., what they think, and people will tell you. I think if anything, I'm almost afraid of the response sometimes. I just don't ask people and then hope that something changes. And then when I don't take action, I act surprised that nothing changed, right? So continuing on, we have some notes here from influencers, and the biggest thing I want you guys to really zone in on is this highlight here. Ultimately, Instagram wants people to spend time on that platform. That is the key to every social media platform ever that does paid advertising. And that's the part of the algorithm that's never going to change, because the more time users are spending on these apps, the more time ads can be put in front of people. So the way that is useful to you as a business owner is you want to create content that is authentic, but also engaging and also relevant and also hopefully useful and or interesting and or entertaining for the people who you would like to follow you or follow reciprocally. So it's really easy to overthink that, because when we talk about these things, you know, as in the abstract, it sounds like, oh, there's all these things I really have to remember and do, and like I really want my copy to resonate with my potential ideal clients. But since it is social media, there is a lot of grace that comes along with posting on there. So even though I'm going to be a bit of a hypocrite for a second, even though I say here that, you know, posting on Brandon regularly is huge, it's not like people are going to stop wanting to do business with you because you didn't post for a month, even though that was your intention, right? If you fell off the track, definitely feel free to jump right back on and start plugging away at expanding your reach on Instagram. Because I think we all know intuitively that these are the places that people are searching for content, discovering content, and taking action. It's whether or not we're participating in essentially real estate purchasing on these platforms. Like, am I willing to share with people about something that means a lot to me so that it can hopefully mean a lot to them as well, so that they can discover what I am passionate about. There are some apps that I wanted to mention to you guys that you're welcome to screenshot and look at later. I find that for some of our clients, they're like, yeah, but I get tired of just posting images and videos or anything else I can do. Those are right here. Boomerang is probably the most popular of those, where it's a video going back and forth, repeating itself. Those are really popular for Instagram stories, which we're about to talk a little more about. Which should help with some of the wanting to be authentic that we've talked about. And then we'll talk a little more about some other techniques and examples later on as well. But Layout and Warble, highly recommend Googling them. I don't know that I could do justice to explain them in this time, but everything good so far, Megan? Anything jump out? Any questions?
Great. Yeah, this is a great start. And I love that you have this document that you're going to be able to share with us, because, you know, some of the things that can get you stopped before you even get started are, how do I do this? Like, where are the buttons that I'm supposed to press? It's a new platform, all this. So I love that you have some of those pieces at the beginning of the document, but it's not the best use of our time now, just like you said, to do that technology piece, because what's true is you can, you know, any of you could just Google those things and you or your assistant could get those answers. And it's great to use this time that we have with Travis to do some of the more high level questions. So I love that you're just addressing these pieces.
Yeah, for sure. And this document is for you guys. Feel free to download it, you know, edit your own copy, etc. I always encourage people to, you know, some people will throw up all these reasons to why they shouldn't take action in their business. I'm sure you guys talk about this a lot, like either the mental roadblocks or the knowledge roadblocks that really keep you from, you know, taking the next step. And if you're looking to get started, be okay with the fact that what you do early on won't be as good as what you'll be doing later on, but it was necessary to get there, right? Like, people are always worried that they have to make something precise and perfect, and then there'll be this flood of action takers from whatever they do up front. But really, it's in aggregate, like it's in totality that, you know, people are able to go to software like Instagram and see like, oh, this is someone I really care, like I really relate to, be it that they're a mother with kids, or be it that, you know, they have a really random interest in water polo or something, right? And we're looking for those human connections that I think are so key in driving modern business. And I think that's something, if you guys follow Sage at all on Instagram, she's really taken to heart and started doing really well, is finding that personable, relatable side of her brand that people really resonate with. And it's more than just, you know, she does quotes as well, but it's more than just that. We all like quotes, but that doesn't really help us to get to know the person better, right? All right, cool. So we've talked so far about Instagram for business profile, that is something that would be useful to you guys as business owners. And then this concept that there are two types of posts on Instagram. There's a story post, right? So most people think of that as the square post that you see up here on the left side. And then, there's a regular post. And then this is a story, which is a more vertical styled post that you shoot from your phone. So think of that as how you regularly take a picture from your phone. And this one is just cropped square for a regular post. So we'll talk about stories. If you're not familiar, stories are a type of post that disappear after 24 hours. They're made to be very interactive, and hence the name. A lot of brands try to use them to tell a story. So here's an example from one of the blogs I followed that they followed Ben and Jerry's and saw them do this with their story. You know, what does a taco and an ice cream equal? The chilaco. And so then the third one, they give their call to action. Oh, it's available here for a limited time. And this is something that you guys could absolutely take advantage of as well. Though I'll go ahead and preface this by saying this doesn't have to be strictly promotional. If anything, the strength of Instagram stories comes from the small moments of life that normally you would have never cared to post on something permanent that you'd love to share with people so they can get an insight to who you are. So they feel more like they're friends with you as opposed to a purely transactional relationship. So this could be something like, you know, face to camera, you're talking to your phone, you're saying, I had this really awesome moment today and I really just wanted to share this with you guys. And it has nothing to do at all with business, but it's, you know, it's intimate, it's personal. It's a way for you to share that, you know, you two are a human being, not just whatever your Instagram handle is, that you're more than that business. And people love that. Like Megan was, you know, we'll talk again about the story where she said that people were asking about, was it your dog or was it a client's dog, or who are you talking about for that?
Yeah, it was my dog because she's regularly on the Instagram stories. So exactly, people asking about the dog. This is common.
Yeah, so start out sharing your pets, or maybe share, you know, if you're on a vacation, maybe you can share a cool little moment from that. I know that some people are a little hesitant to share vacations because that feels a little vain, but you get the idea, right? Like something casual, something that you found interesting that maybe not everyone in the world finds interesting, but they don't have to, right? And it goes away after 24 hours.
Yeah, and we can come back to the share in a moment. I know Sage wanted me to share a couple things from profile, and I want to share on my screen this example since you're talking about this.
Yeah.
Randomly, I'm trying to go over to the screen share. Okay, so here's my profile. This only started a few months ago, so I still have low, it's 331 followers. So this is just getting going, but we've already gotten clients from this. We already got clients when we were at 150 followers. So this is not about having thousands and thousands of people paying attention to you. And this was just organic following. So we have there's the dog. So, but we have regular posts on here, and it is showing kind of a story of, I mean, obviously it's us, and we lead retreats for women in love with women. And so it's all going to be in that kind of theme of love and pride. And so there's a theme, but I want to show you an example of our story yesterday, because I think it'll show on the screen. Yeah. Yes. So this is the type of food you'll be eating at our Hawaii retreat. My mouth is watering looking at this, and sushi, and it has a little dancing sushi and hearts. And so you get to share it. People are like, oh, want to move forward. Photos of the beach, romantic strolls to the beach, another beach shot. You can add these little GIFs in to make it more interactive. So this is something we've definitely learned is gets attention. And then I'm going to keep going. Yoga, sound healing, and then there's the call to action. DM us if you want to know more about the Hawaii retreat. So just send us a direct message. And after that, then we sent that in the morning, and then we were going out for lunch. And so we posted afternoon lunching, and here's the dog again. Because this is our real life. This is what we do. So that's showing us, and we eat pizza. And this is going to be loud, but Bella having her dog whip at the ice cream parlor and looking happy from that. And so it's just these like little moments. And then we were interviewed on a podcast. So someone posted about us being interviewed, and we shared their post, and that gets more attention as well. Cause then people see, oh, someone else posted about us too. So social proof. And I don't know what else. Oh, Kava Lounge last night. So it shows like what we do in our day. And it's just about adding the things that are naturally happening that we're doing anyway. And we share these little moments so that people can see what we're like. And that's how everyone's Instagram is going to be so different based on how you actually live your life. And this is the thing that can feel risky. And it's like, oh, what if I share pizza and they see that I'm eating meat on it and they're vegan? Well, they know who I am then. That's what I do. And, and if I was vegan, then I'd probably be posting a lot about that too. So it's like you get to share really who you are without needing to orchestrate and fabricate like some idea and then try to live up to that idea. I actually have found it to be really freeing to be able to share the stories. And I was so resistant at first.
No, I agree with that. I think that's definitely what gives stories so much power, is it's a small way to overcome that timidity to really share with people in the first place. I think at the core, part of it comes down to our own fear of rejection, that we're putting something out there, and then if that's not good enough, people are going to hate us or think less of us or think that, how dare she share that? That's terrible, But most people aren't going to respond negatively. And if they do, thankfully, they can just unfollow. We never have to know, like, no one's coming to us and being like, oh, your content is the worst.
Yeah. Well, I've had some comments for sure. I've had some nasty comments, and especially the niche I'm in, I definitely get some homophobic comments, and then I get to have the satisfaction of blocking those people, or just like, oh, I'm never going to see you again, and have that moment, and it's done, and I move on to the comments from the people that are saying, changing their lives. So we don't need to give people that attention. We know it's out there, but we do get the satisfaction of blocking them.
Yeah, I love your profile in particular, because I think it's such a great example of you don't need tens of thousands of followers. You don't need 1 million followers to make an impact, right?
Yeah. And I want that, but I had to get started. So when I got started a few months ago, I thought, oh, this is terrible. Just getting started. It's going to look pathetic. People aren't going to want to, follow this because there's barely any followers. That's not, from the people that are contacting us and direct messaging us, they're just like, oh, this is awesome. And we love who you are. They're not looking for, a number of followers. Also, they're not thinking in that business mindset like we are, like, oh, it's better if there's all these followers. They just think it's better that we reply to their direct message.
It's true.
Like, that's the good news.
The other part that I wanted to make sure you guys noticed with Megan's walkthrough in particular was, did you notice that when she was clicking through the story, what was she doing at a basic level? What would Instagram be very happy about? Right? She was spending more time on the platform, right? And Instagram is going to reward you for that. When we talk about later on down the line, like what are your end goals as a business owner for Instagram? The dream for all of us is to have that large following that knows how authentic we are and that we're making a difference in their lives through the content we're putting out, right? That you're truly making an impact at the end of the day. And with when it comes time in your business to advertise in a paid way, that organic content that you've been putting out, that really personable, authentic stuff, Instagram will actually reward you for that with increased reach. Those will be people that you can then show advertisements to later who will be more likely to take you up on your offers, and because they have that knowledge of who you are now. You're not just another let me spam you with my ad. You're someone they know, and they'll take an interest in that.
Yes, exactly. And I know that I do want to have Selena pop in, because I know you only have about 10 more minutes with us here. So I want to have Selena be able to add in for a few minutes. And for those of you who don't know her, she's an awesome money mindset coach and financial expert for women leaders. she's a total rock star in leverage and Lotus, and so articulate. And she had a rough year last year personally, and was still able to keep scaling her business and making more money while working less. And I know that Instagram was really part of that for you, Selena. So I would love to have Selena get to share a little bit. She's a total Instagram genius. And I know I've looked at her profile to learn from, and I was just looking at it again this morning and think, oh, there's a lot more that I should be paying attention to here. So I wanted her to get to speak about this for a little bit. And so I've made you a co-host, Selena, if you want to just jump in, and if you want to screen share your profile, or I can as well.
Yeah, you go ahead, Megan. You can pull up my profile. I really love Instagram as a platform because actually a lot of my clients were using it. So some of my clients have nearly 500,000 Instagram followers, and like a few of my clients have a couple of million, like collectively. So it was really good for me to dive in and really learn about it. So at the beginning of last year, I had about 1,100 followers, for context. So this change in my Instagram has been very much organic. This past year, I've brought in close to, it would be over 6 figures now in no paid, just true organic sales. And how that happens has been mostly through my Instagram stories. I've sold a couple hundred online courses from my Instagram stories. I've had people DMing me, which is that direct message in the Instagram platform when I share my stories on my actual posts. So like you'll notice there, a lot of what I'm sharing is words. A lot of them are my own, and I'll tie that back to a personal story. And then people will resonate with it and message me and say, oh, I really relate to this, you know, and they'll tell me why. And you can have conversations. You can literally send them voice note messages. And it's like this beautiful way to connect with people. And I think that's the part that I took really seriously this year, was that I leaned into the fear of sharing my life, because I wasn't really open to that before. Leaned into sharing my life in a way that I watched what people enjoyed, and I gave them more of that. So for example, people love my daughter there. They love seeing her. They're always commenting when she's doing goofy things. And it's like, well, what does that have anything to do with business? Well, a lot of the moms will capture. This one you're on right now, I just posted yesterday, that big family group shot. That one's actually a really important one because I shared a piece of really vulnerable information there where I had some struggles. I had to cut out my mom. Our whole family had to cut out my mom because she's really not doing well after like 2 decades of struggle. And you're like, why would you share that? There needs to be a level of discernment. Well, my people are used to that. I got about 40 DM messages from that. People saying, oh my gosh, I really relate. I've sold some programs from that one post because I really just want to show up and be me so that people, when they come into my community, they feel welcome, they feel connection. And for me, it's always people first. And just like Travis had mentioned, like sometimes you go dark on platforms. And this last month, I literally couldn't post because I was going through some personal struggles with my mom. And I showed up on stories and I said, thank you to my community for giving me space and time. And I put a poll on there and I said, do you agree that it's important for us to go into the quiet and feel into what's happening in our life rather than just post because we should be posting for our online businesses? And 150 people responded, yes, go into the quiet, and they send you direct messages. And so I think it's really important that whatever season of life you're in, that you share parts of your story and you share parts of your life, just like Megan was doing when she's going out for pizza. People comment on the most random things. It's hilarious. Like I was shocked at the things people comment on, but all of that is really good ways for you to connect with people. Connection is currency. That's what I teach in my company. Connection is currency. And on Instagram, that's a beautiful way to connect with your community and be who you really are. So what I teach people in my year-long program is how to use Instagram to sell in a way that gets you selling without having to buy paid ads. You can, of course, extrapolate that, just like Travis was saying, and really direct target them after. But just with working with my clients and seeing and testing through their big audiences, I was able to to really understand how important the platform is for people who are drawn to Instagram, because the profile of people drawn to Facebook tends to be a little bit different for Instagram. They expect different things. So you can't just like auto post to all the different areas. It's showing up with intention and saying, what do my people want and how will I serve them? And there's analytics at the back of Instagram, which Travis will likely teach us about when we're working on a business profile rather than a personal. You can see how many people are watching. You can see how many people are replying. You can really get a lot of statistical information. And I'm the token CPA in this program, so I love statistics that can help us utilize ways to sell. And there's a platform I want to talk to you guys about called Linktree. And Travis, I don't know if you want to write that in the, maybe that's already in your awesome package for us, but
I'm going to get there a little later, but this is awesome. You can talk
yeah,
about
this allows you to people to join your email list. Like there's a freebie. My freebie is what's your money score? You can go on my Linktree. You can see the podcasts I've been on. Podcasts have been a beautiful thing in Instagram. People share when you're on podcasts, just like what Megan had showed there. People see that. They reshare your quotes. You get a lot of traction. Like I gained thousands of followers this year because people were sharing my words. I've had my quote shared like thousands of times. Sometimes big accounts will get a hold of it and give you credit, and then they'll send you people to your account, and then they'll sign up, or
yes,
I'll plug in and say,
it's your quotes. Yeah, your quotes. You're not just saying, oh, I'm going to post a bunch of memes from other people. It's your quotes, and that's so awesome because then people see your name below it and you get that attention.
And they come in and they check you out, right? And so I think for Instagram, it's not about just posting to post. It's posting with intention for people. Posting so that you are really communicating with your community about what they want to see and how you can help them. So all of my quotes somehow tie to a story that is soulfully selling them, that gets them inspired to want to work with me, and my stories do the same. But you don't have to post 100 times a day, and you don't have to post, every day, 14 times a day. No. Listen to your soul. Be authentic to you. And then you'll end up seeing traction. Being yourself is the best piece of Instagram. It gives people insight to the behind the scenes of your life. One day I did a behind the scenes of Money Boss, my company. I had like hundreds of people messaging me. They're like, oh my gosh, this was so cool to see a day in your life. Like I literally documented it. I'm like, okay, I'm up. Here's my coffee. I had this online call. Here was my year-long program. Oh, here's my husband. He also works at home. Look at him. And he's biting an apple. And people, like 15 people message. They're like, oh my gosh, my husband does the same, and they get all excited about it, just like Megan's dog. So as you can see, I love Instagram. And it's a beautiful platform to expand our businesses in the most heart-centered, spiritually aligned way if you allow for it. The key is, just like everything in this business, to go to the edge and choose your own path. Choose to push past fear and just start sharing. Test it, experiment. And there's so much grace, like Travis said, on Instagram. Like people just want to see other people. They want to see your heart and soul. Now is a perfect time to go to my Instagram, Selena G Money. You can literally see I didn't post for a month. And I have 63 comments under my latest post because people are like, wow, I resonate with what you're saying. And so was it a vulnerable piece? Was it maybe an overshare? Maybe. But I've built a safety net with my community now that, just like Megan, when you get the haters, you send them love and block them and move on.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Selena. That's so valuable. I love that you're here to add in. And I know that you have to hop off in a minute. So is there anything else you wanted to say before you go? And then we're going to hop back to Travis.
Just try and just watch other people you admire and see what they're up to and do your own version of that. I call it filtering through your own inner richness. If you're following accounts that inspire you, do an iteration of that on your own. Make it very you, because people go on the platform to learn about you. That whole concept of vanity, that's like what people care about, is learning more about you. That's why they follow you. So lean into the parts of you that others want to know about. Lean into the parts of your business that you want to share, and be your highest self and be true to you, because that's when you get followers. It's not about posting, it's the energy behind it that's most important. And that's when I started seeing my platform really change. Like, I wake up and almost every day I sell a course on Instagram that I've done nothing for, because I've put investment into the platform by showing up and serving and leading with love and serving some more. And then people buy my courses on my Linktree. So go ahead and take a look. Does my Instagram have room for improvement? Absolutely. Because like always, we pour more into our clients than ourselves. But that's the whole point. Take messy, inspired action and be perfectly imperfect. And your people will love you just because you're you. And that's it.
Awesome, Selena. Thank you so much. And again, people can follow you at Selena G Money. So Selena G Money.
And like, even if you don't want the right handle, like I didn't want that handle. I wanted Selena Gray, you know, but my client was like, you're Selena G Money. I'm like, okay. So I picked that handle, right? And when you go on stage, you can tell people to send you a DM on Instagram. Like when we do all of our speaking engagements, I've had literally $30,000 clients come from a DM, and you can too. I'm doing it, you can do it. Incorporate it into your speaking set where you're like, follow me on Instagram, join my community. They can get the freebie directly from there. So it's just another thing to add to your toolkit at Women Rocking Business.
Thank you.
Much love, everyone. I gotta go. Bye.
Bye. Mwah. Thank you. Thank you. All right, back to you, Travis, because I know you had more that you wanted to share, and I know that Selena swept up some of your points, but we'll open it up for some questions too.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. There's always more that one can talk about, but I'm happy to go ahead and jump into questions and then send people this document, unless you want to spend more time on that.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, so I know, Debbie, you've had your hand up for a while about questions. Pop in first. So we'll just do one question per person for these last 15 minutes.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Hi, Travis.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So I have an Instagram page that I have been, so I'm one of those people, like my whole brand is all about authenticity, but I'm one of those people that just, Instagram just doesn't really resonate for me. And I'm just like, I love other platforms a lot more. So I was really trying to pay someone else to do it, and have just come to a place of realizing that without me vested in it, Instagram just doesn't get any traction. I'm in a place right now where I'm actually really, really stepping into a big way of like fully launching my jewelry brand. Now, my other Instagram page is focused on my Freedom from Food Addiction brand. And so the first question that I have is, do you agree that it needs to be a separate Instagram account? And then I guess like my second question is like my interest and passion would be if I was gonna have a presence on Instagram, I've got way more authentic passion to be posting about the jewelry than the coaching practice. And so I guess I'm just looking for a little bit of guidance for you around all of that.
Cool. So I have my answer, and then I'm going to be a hypocrite of my answer.
Okay.
So my first instinct is yes. You can absolutely separate those into two accounts because the subject matter is different enough. And Instagram is built in such a way that if there are any posts that are relevant to both profiles, you can share to both at the same time. So it saves you a lot of time, energy, and effort from having to, all right, well, I want to share this to this profile, but I also want to share it to this one. Like, where am I going to invest my time today, right? So that makes things a little bit easier for you. Where I'm going to be a hypocrite of my answer is, if having two profiles is going to leave you doing nothing, where you're never going to use it and you're going to ignore it and you're like, man, I really should do this and I'm still not going to, then absolutely just put it on the same profile. I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that and just own it to the max and let people see all aspects of what you're doing right now. And if you might be surprised, maybe somebody from your food addiction audience also is interested in this other thing you're talking about. And that gives you really unique value in your space, and something that a lot of other people may not, who have similar businesses may not actually be talking about. If there's another food addiction profile, what are the odds they're talking about jewelry, custom jewelry making, and seeing the creative process that you're a part of? probably slim to none. So that's really cool. I think that people get to know you more authentically at the same time. So my answer is both and, but ultimately whichever you'll take action on.
Thank you. I really like that, because I would say that what unifies all the brands is like embodying all of you. That's kind of like the underlying message of everything. And so, you know, that's interesting. Megan, I'll follow up with you more.
Yes, all right. I know. And I'm wearing your jewelry now.
I know. She's got it. She's got the whole thing. Yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I had another part of that, but I know there's lots of people asking questions, so I'll.
No, it's awesome. As a fellow creative type, like I do art on the side, both digital and physical. Like I definitely have like weeks, months, probably excessive amounts of time where like I'll post a lot very consistently and then I'll just stop for a good period of time and I'll post a lot very consistently. So if you're trying to avoid something like that and looking to really commit yourself to doing both, perhaps that's a way to kind of kill the monotony of posting the same thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. And Imani, you'll have to unmute yourself, I think.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
there we go.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you.
So IG, I actually don't have an issue with the platform, but I'm one of those people, I don't have an issue with vulnerability and like I'll put stuff out there. But if I didn't have a business, I probably wouldn't be on social media, period. Like that's just, I'd just be like, So it's challenging for me, I guess, specifically on IG because there's so much going on when I'm used to Facebook. There's like IGTV and there's stories. And then like even then I don't even know how people link certain things that, like they put the little things on there to animate like they were showing. And so if you're just like trying to just be like, okay, I'm going to commit to this IG thing, like besides just regular posting, it's just like one other thing that you should be doing to really maximize your IG presence.
Yeah, so what I'll say first is give yourself permission to not know everything. And there's always more that we can learn, and these software companies are going to create as many places and as many ways as possible for you to engage with them more. We talked about they really want you on there as much as possible because selfishly they want to finance their program and pay their employees through showing you ads, right? For you, besides regular posting, take advantage of the ability to share anything you're posting on Instagram directly to your Facebook page. If that makes it easier for you, then I highly encourage you to do that. And that one little trick, if that gets you posting on both of those platforms, whereas otherwise you would have not done that, that's what I would say. If you were going to post anyway, the next thing I would encourage you to do is use hashtags when you're posting. There's all these, websites and blogs talking about all these variety of hashtag strategies. And the truth is no one has it perfectly as much as the algorithms change. So give yourself permission again to just try it out and see what happens.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the hashtags piece, because for those of you that are new to Instagram or see the hashtags, you're like, what is that? What is going on? This is a way people can search for what they're looking for. So they may search for, hashtag. Oh, there you go. Great.
Perfect. I'm going to share for a second. I do have this piece in the document, and I break it down to make it as easy as possible for you guys to really think about using hashtags, be it for your first time or if you've done this a lot. Different strategies that you can begin implementing in your business as well. Not going to read through all of it, but most people use hashtags as a way to link to the idea of what you're talking about. And to make that really simple, if you have a dog in your picture, you can put hashtag dog, and that is perfectly okay, right? It's the idea that when they click that little icon at the bottom that looks like a magnifying glass, whatever they search, if it's related to your hashtag, that's going to be shown to them. And then if people click on that hashtag, which works like a link, they see all the posts related to that hashtag. So people who do that on somebody else's profile may discover yours if you're using a similar hashtag. So in this case, I wrote about content relating to Mondays, Monday Madness or Monday Vibes or Monday Night or Monday Blues. And these are things that people right now are actively posting about. And then I give some examples of how people will discover you based on that, and then some tips going along with that and how you can build on top of that. And here's a couple of example photos, etc. This guy right here that I wanted to get to really quickly, their profile only has 192 followers. They live in a really small location, very small population, so you wouldn't normally expect people to be aware of their business. But because we live in the 21st century and we have all these resources available to us, their profile is being discovered by people who would have never heard of them otherwise unless they visited. So that's a really cool benefit to using hashtags. Is it's a free way to get people to find you and by things they were already searching for and said, hey, I'm interested in that.
Exactly. All right. Junie Moon.
Hey there. Awesome material. I'm curious, you mentioned about the business profile, and I just did a quick on my phone and it said do a professional profile. Is that the same?
Yes, I believe, unless they've changed their lingo in the past month, which they've done that to me before in these presentations, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. That's it. Thanks.
The professional profile, and you can claim that you're a public figure, so you'll see that underneath your name. It'll say public figure. That's linked up to you. You can link that up to your business Facebook account as well. So that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Junie. And all those things, again, when you Google them, it'll simply take you through those step-by-step processes. That's exactly how I learned to do them, too. It's not a mystery on those things. Other questions? I'm going to go over to Leah.
Hang on a second.
Yeah. You're unmuted. Oh. Nope, not anymore. Now you are.
Sorry, I'm in my kitchen now.
Yeah.
Okay, my quick question is, if I already have an Instagram account, and do I just keep, and I actually had so that was my daughter, from Selena saying like way back in October, just switch it over. She switched it over for me to professional instead of like personal so that I could, see who's looked at it. But I haven't really done anything also for my Instagram because I guess I feel like how my daughter just walked in. I feel like I don't know if I should broach like family versus, I also have the King Charles Cavalier who was just in my lap, and also this new business venture that I'm starting. Do all that and just use my current Instagram, or just start another one? And I kind of have heard, like, I heard the jewelry versus the coaching. And what's your suggestion if you're brand new to this new company that you're starting?
Quick question. Are you planning to be the face of your brand?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. In that case, go ahead and combine everything.
Okay.
Like I said, most people are going to spend time thinking like, oh, I need to spend time in this account. And usually they'll neglect one or the other. And it's usually whichever one takes more emotional energy to work on, which will probably be your new business venture. So
totally.
Definitely go ahead, feel comfortable with doing that. And if there ever comes a day that maybe you've dated that idea for a while and you realize, man, that's not how I want to proceed, then you can create another profile, and at least you know at that point.
Okay, so just keep going on it, and it's not going to be weird to the people that are just my friends because they're friends and family.
No,
and now I've got a business.
Like I said, I post a lot about the art I make, and I'm obviously trying to sell that art, but I don't want to come across as like salesy or inauthentic to my friends at the same time. But none of them have unfollowed me yet because of trying to share about the things I'm passionate about. I think it would be really strange to your friends if you stopped talking about the things you cared about. I think that's when you become authentic to people on these platforms, is when it's, if it became very like salesy, but there was none of you to that, then people might care a little less about your profile, even though they do care about you, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I see like, my kids, they'll post, one of their friends will post something, or my babysitter, and all of a sudden they have like 800 likes because it's just like, or 800, because they're doing it all the time. They're for no business venture, just because their friends are following them. So, okay, cool.
Yeah, well, and this is the thing like Selena was speaking about that I just want to mention, like when you were saying like, oh, should you share your kids and your dog? And I mean, that's part of who you are. And so when you share those pieces, especially because you are really going to be the face of your business, this is where people want to get to know you, Leah.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to get posting every day. Cool.
Go for it. Yeah.
Yes, go for it. And just make it a game. Like, see how much fun could you have? And for all of you, that's a question to ask, like, how much fun could I have with this? And like, how much could I enjoy this? It doesn't mean that it takes over your life. Like when I was doing that post for the retreat yesterday, it probably took like about 10 minutes to go through those quick little screens. And I'm just pulling pictures off my phone that I already had saved that I knew I was going to post at some point. It's not about you needing to post all day long every day. You just sit down and like, I'm going to go through this. And now, like Travis said, Instagram will send more people to look at your story and to pay attention when they see you're on more often.
Cool. Okay. So go, and also, like you said, you had already taken those pictures. So go back and use all my cool pictures that I've just taken for like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah,
That's
I know you've been traveling and doing all these things. Yeah. So you can.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Travis.
Yeah, of course. And one more quick thing on that. Sometimes people feel that if they post about something once, they can never talk about it again. Like, oh, I've already shared about my business. Guess I can't talk about that anymore. And just for all of you guys, I encourage you to know that's not the case, that you're more than welcome to keep talking about the things that matter to you, that are who you are, that are, you know, a part of your business or that you're passionate about.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
100%. And I know, Travis, how are you for time? Do you need to pop off right now, or?
I do not have a hard stop, so happy to keep answering questions if you guys want me to. Otherwise, I can hop off right now.
Yeah, we can go for 10 more minutes or so. I do want to screen share Sage's profile too, so you can see what you've been working on.
Lunchtime.
And just, yeah, go ahead and mute yourselves if you're
sorry.
No problem. That's real life. And so I'm sharing Sage's. She's at over 2,000 followers now, 2,300. And one thing that we didn't talk about is just at the top of the page here, what you're seeing are highlights from stories. So Travis did say that those stories disappear within 24 hours. I always thought, what a waste. I'm not going to use my time like that. And until someone pointed out to me that you can save those highlights, save the pieces of the story that you want people to be able to watch again, like retreat highlights for mine, for instance, and put them in these little highlight buttons at the top of your page, so that when you post about things that you do want people to be able to go back and look at, like for Debbie, if you have, you know, here's highlights of a bunch of different women wearing your jewelry, for instance, presenting on stage, then you could have that, you know, women rocking your jewelry as a highlight. And then people can just scroll through and see, and ultimately they'll be able to see, you know, it could be hundreds of clips of people, and it just really adds to that. Like, we get addicted to wanting to scroll through things and watch, and so you're playing into that of like, oh yeah, I want to see the next one. So highlights help for that. And then Sage has ones on here that it's a blend of video clips and posts and calls to action. So getting the tickets to the live event, for instance, like here she has like 3 mindset tools to embrace visibility, and then talking about the shifts that she speaks about, and then you can just hit play and it's gonna play the video there. So you can have I think, let me see, yes,
underneath so much of the resistance.
So you can have that, and people could be looking on their computers and watching this, or most of the time they're watching it on their phone in the Instagram app, but I'm on my computer to be able to share with you. So there is a blend of, again, these like some of the quotes here and posts where it's just her being real and playful and in regular life, and then having things like this, like the video that says body breakdown. Look, it said 464 plays on that one. So you get to see what gets people's attention versus like 29 likes on a flower picture. It's a big difference. So people are like, body breakdown, let me see that one. And so you get to watch that and see what are people engaging with. So I just wanted to show you that as well. So you know, you can go check out, just look for, it's under Sage Levine on, like that's the Instagram handle there that you can look up. And I'm gonna pop back over to some Q&A time, Travis. So Dr. Kelly, I know you are amidst the question with me.
Yeah, so a couple questions. So first of all, like when you were showing the stories and the writing, like there's some just like a very simple logistical things I don't know how to do. And, you know, I know it's like, so where do I go to learn like the basics of the basics? Like the usage of the basic functions.
Yeah, so there are a lot of resources. I think that for a lot of it, you can use the document that I've made for you guys. Instagram and their parent company, Facebook, have produced a wide and easy to follow catalog of how to get started because they want to make it easy for you guys as well. Honestly, there are a lot of really easy to follow YouTube tutorials as well. And there's someone in particular, and I can't think of their name, that I would normally recommend to you guys, but I would just search on there for both general and specific questions. And there are going to be a lot of very visual walkthroughs because, you know, people love sharing the things they know about for you guys to get started. So for example, you mentioned the like squiggly text where it looks like somebody wrote on there. You can definitely Google as unspecific as you possibly can, like how to make squiggly text on Instagram stories. And there'll definitely be a very specific, easy to follow walkthrough for that, both produced by Facebook and produced by, you know, the random person at home who's trying to teach you how, you know, 10 social media tips, right?
Right. Yeah, just some like basic things like Megan, when you're showing the picture, like a picture with like the writing on top of, like, how do you do that? Like the simplest of simple.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I can obviously, those of you who like coach with me, I can show you things like that in a session if you want. If you walk through that, and what Travis is saying, you can definitely do that just by Googling it. And that's how I learned it as well. Just by Googling and saying, how do I do this? Because I thought the same thing. I'm like, you go from how do I do this? It just doesn't make sense. Like that kind of overwhelmed phase to, I wonder how to do this.
Right.
And then see what the answer is, and it really shifts it because it's all out there. Like he said, people love to make videos of how to do these things that are just, you think it might take forever, but it's really like a 5-minute video tutorial, and then you know how to do it forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
My next question is, I've been doing Transformational Tuesdays, and up until this point, I've been just streaming on Facebook. And last week, for the first time, I did a streaming on Instagram and had it as a story. And what I didn't realize is that it disappears after 24 hours, and there's like a little thing to make it a highlight. So I'm just wanting to know, and sometimes I'll talk for like 20 minutes. Is it Instagram story that I'm wanting? Is that really the best use of a teaching? Like, I'm just, again, this is like semantics, but what's the best use of like a regular weekly conversation that's content rich to best use it on Instagram?
So for you, I'm going to give you 2 options and then allow you to be decisive and date one of those ideas for a while.
Okay.
There are 2 options that most people think of, and that's either Instagram Live or IGTV. And neither of those is wrong, but it's all up to what you want out of it the most and where you think you would be adding the most value to your following. So the differences are pretty straightforward. If you post on, or if you share on Instagram Live and you're having an authentic conversation, as people are watching you live, it allows for them to give you live feedback and you can be very interactive. But it does disappear after some time unless you add it to your highlight. Now, if you were to post directly to IGTV, that's really just Instagram's fancy way of saying, hey, we decided to allow you guys to post longer videos on here, and here's how you do that. IGTV is pretty straightforward. You would upload a video, ideally vertical, but just this month, actually, they let you do it horizontally now for all profiles, so that's cool. But you can post video to IGTV like you would think of on YouTube, and then share that directly to your profile, a little preview of that. And so people can click and watch and engage with you in a way that's very new and that Instagram is very excited to promote with the hopes that it catches on like a YouTube.
Okay.
So all of your trainings can be stored there, and you can have the satisfaction of being a little ahead of the curve. And the other little detail I'll mention for IGTV, and I know that there's a lot we could talk about with that, is there are two benefits with it that you don't get anywhere else on the platform. One is that you get an IGTV profile badge up in your highlights, so people can click onto that and see all of your IGTV videos. So those are stored separately from your feed, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
Pictures, here they see your videos. And then secondly, when you share a link on Instagram, in a normal post, your users aren't going to be able to click on that. They have to go to your bio, and that's why people recommend Linktree, so that you can give them options of what they can select.
Unless you have over 10,000 followers, then people can click directly in a story.
Yes, and with IGTV, they make an exception for your profile to where anyone can click the link you post in an IGTV comment or a little section where you add the text below it. So if you're wanting to promote anything from a blog about your latest vacation to buy my program, you're going to be able to do that without having to hit that follower limit.
Awesome. That's a great tip. I love this new addition.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right, so I'll check that out. And the last one is just a really quick, specific question. My username on Instagram is Dr. Kelly Shu, and nobody knows how to spell it right. So when I'm sending people to it, can I just say Dr. Kelly and they'll find me? You know what I mean? I know that's like very specific, but in my languaging of asking people to follow me, what's your recommended tip?
I would share your whole name, and I would tell them how to spell it out.
Okay.
So, it's Dr. Kelly Shu, and that is spelled like this. And if you could show them on the screen, absolutely do that in some way, or link it in the footer of your email or something like that. So people.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. All right. I know we're really at time, we're over time right now, and I know there's lots of other hands. So I just encourage you to ask the questions on our Facebook page, ask the questions for your coaches as well. I'm also going to have another Q&A call. I think it's tomorrow is the, let me just double check it. Yes, I'm leading the All Access Q&A call tomorrow afternoon. So it'll be another opportunity to do laser coaching questions. I'm happy to have you bring these questions to me then. But I just really want to thank Travis for you joining us and answering so many questions. I love all of your enthusiasm. And I just encourage you to not get into the overwhelm, but to give yourself permission to be a beginner at this and to know that you're growing it over time, that you can start first step would be just downloading the app on your phone and choosing your Instagram handle, and then moving forward from there. And we'll get you the handout as well from Travis. Thank you so much for putting that together, because I know that has a lot more that can answer everybody's questions in there. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all of you for only bringing yourselves and your questions. And you'll be able to find Travis that way from the handout too. And like we said, this could be a great next step for those of you who already have six-figure businesses or are moving in that direction, to have somebody else support you with your business growth. That is a great next step. And for those of you who are just getting started with downloading it and figuring out the basics, you've got plenty to work with from what we shared today. So just take a deep breath and allow yourself to take one clear action to move forward from today. And I'll see many of you tomorrow on the All Access call. All right. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.